When I am down and oh, my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and say a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. Strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be.
There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so
you raise me up to more than I can be.
Good evening and welcome to another in the series of our NAV Life sessions. We welcome you and we look forward to having an engaging session. NAV Life is a an outreach program of the St. Andrew Church of Christ. And today we will be dealing with the issue of how to invite the right partner into your life. Before we go into the session, we just like to do some housekeeping and have a word of prayer. If you would just bow with me. Almighty God, we give you thanks, Lord, for this opportunity to come together to examine another issue as to how we can navigate life in keeping with your word. We pray, Father, that as we examine this issue, we will be edified, we will be able to unlock strategies, approaches, actions that we can take in order to more effectively deal with the whole issue of our relationships with others. Pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. So just a little bit of housekeeping. As those of you who have been here before, we're just asking you if you can keep your mics muted unless you are invited to share. There's a chat which you can raise, put issues in, or you can raise your hand and, you will be identified at appropriate times. That's pretty much it. We want to have this as an interactive session, so we invite your participation. I understand that there is a significant power outage in Portmore, so I've got some feedback from individuals who have indicated that they might not be able to participate, including our very own evangelist, Brother Grinnell, who then sends his apologies. Apologies also from my right hand, Brother Alan Casey is not well today. And so I'm flying solo. We wish him a speedy recovery. I'm Trevor Smith, and I'm a member of the St. Andrew Church of Christ. And I am also a director of the Success with People Academy. We work with looking at behavioral issues related to human behavior. We work with teams, we work with organizations to help them to be more productive. So I also have written a couple of books in this area, Success with Marriage, and also 7 Keys to a Lasting Relationship. Those books are available on Amazon. So let me not take up any more of that time, but get right into it. This is actually, okay, this is the out session. So let me actually move on to my presentation. All right, so this is actually part 2. We did some of this. So I'm just going to run through it because I'm not exactly sure if you were all here then. But even if you were, it wouldn't hurt to just quickly go through. So what are we looking at? We have done sessions in the past where we talk about how to select the right partner, screening, all sorts of techniques to see that you get a right fit. This session is different, although there's clearly an overlap in the sense that what we're looking for now is how do you prepare yourself? How do you invite in the right person into your life? That's the key. And the intention is with marriage in view, long-term relationships in view. So yeah, it's a romantic objective. How do you actually bring in Miss Right or Mr. Right? How do you invite them? So what are some of the strategies? What are some of the considerations? And this came out of there was a week-long session where people were looking at the whole issue of relationships, etc. One of the things that they were lamenting was the high levels of divorce and the lowering numbers of marriage. And I think one of the considerations is that people were scared. They didn't know how to go into marriage and get themselves prepared. And so this is actually about that. And so it actually starts with, if I would like to say it, with parents and how the parents prepare their children so that they can attract the right persons. So it's not just at the last stages, it is actually how do we actually work with our children, get them to a place where they will in fact attract the right kind of person into their lives. You really want to get the right kinds of in-laws, sons-in-laws or daughters-in-laws. And that actually starts from very early in the child's life, right? Those are some of the standards that you would set. Those are some of the principles that you would inculcate. So that this is that, see it from that perspective then, that this course is about preparing yourself and maybe your offspring in many instances in order to be able to eventually have the right kind of relationship. All right. So one of the things that we have to think about though is the fundamental thought. Sometimes people look at life and they are saying, okay, fine, this is who I want. And we have a nice checklist of the persons that we would want to attract, the kind of ideal person that you would want in your life. But you have to consider something. Would the person that you are trying to attract into your life, would that person be interested in you? And so therefore, one of the things that we have to look at is, if you want somebody who should also be looking for a good match, will you be a good match for that person? And so my strong suggestion is this last piece here then that says you need to manifest the qualities that you want to attract. If you want to attract a grade partner, be an A grade partner yourself, right? So I'm going to go through this just quickly. So one of the things that we want to look at is the whole issue of our belief systems, because what we believe is actually what is going to drive our actions. That's important for us to bear that in mind. Our beliefs, what we believe, what we hold to be true, is manifested in all our actions, in how we think. So look at your faith. Look at what it is that you believe. And I'm looking at faith beyond Christianity. I'm just saying generally, what are the things that you hold to be true? Understand yourself. All of this is part of the self-examination. You have to know yourself before you can give yourself. And we are suggesting then that you need to be clear about what it is that you hold to be true. And the reason why I'm saying this is that if you are not sure about the things that you hold to be true, if you are not sure about the values that you hold dear, then you can easily be shifted. And we mentioned the whole question of the gaslighting, where an individual can manipulate you and to have you starting to doubt your own beliefs, your own thoughts. And maybe that you have to go to them to find out what it is that you really think. So those are some of the considerations that we want to look at this time. All right. A healthy respect for God is another one that we strongly suggest that you look at. And the rationale behind this is that someone who fears God, someone who understands that there is a power outside of themselves, tends to have some limitations as to what it is that they can do. Some parameters. I'm not saying that Christians are perfect and that Christians are not going to do bad things, but believers have parameters, and there's a space for approaching them with reason, and to point out what is desired behavior, or hold accountable for actions that really fall outside of what one would consider to be appropriate behavior. So again, if you want to attract the right kind of person, I'm suggesting that you should have a grounding in God. So strong faith, strong spiritual foundation. That way, you put yourself in a position to be attractive to somebody who also holds have a strong connection and understand the value of obeying God and to be God fearing. Strong suggestion, right? So I know I don't want to be frivolous around this, but I know that there is a word out there, that young ladies would like to get a Christian man. You know, Christian men are attractive, but who should they be attracted to? I'm suggesting that if you were also an attractive sister in the faith, then you have a much better chance of being an appropriate partner for those Christian men that seem to be in demand. All right. Quick again, I've covered some of this. I'm just going to go forward. The other thing to look at is what is your view about the institution of marriage? Is it important? Is it something that is optional? If you enter into a marital relationship and whoever it is that is cooking is not so good at it, is it all right to pack up and go home? The first time there's a fuss, is it okay to pack up, go home? It's not a problem. How do you view the words "till death do us part"? What significance is that? How significant is that? Because you need to be clear about that, so that when you enter into the institution, you know that it is a lifelong commitment. And then you also want to find partners who think the same way. And that way, you are able to ride through the rough spots rather than to have people with their prenups, so that make up their mind from before, and that, I want a way out very early, so that, we have that all tied up with the intention then that this is not likely to last, or I'm not taking any chances. It's a different approach to someone who's committed to the process. That commitment will also mean that you are more diligent in terms of your choices. Yeah, people who just wander into the relationship, it doesn't matter, I can always leave and go home, might not be as diligent in terms of choosing the partner, and in which case they might end up in problems. All right, moving forward. So this is an area that we looked at. Again, remember, what we're looking at is lasting relationships. How do we get the relationships to last long term? And the key that we want to look at there then is one area is disappointment. Yes, we say the vows and we say for better, for worse. How many of us have taken on the for worse as a real possibility? Have we? When you look at it, are you looking at the possibility that this vibrant, dynamic person that you're marrying now could be bedridden as a result of an accident or some illness? And are you prepared then to go through that process of essentially nursing them? All of us go into, I often look at the marriage like it's a business. All of us go into this to get better. All of us want to be advanced. We go into a relationship so that we can achieve goals that we might not be able to achieve ourselves. The vision is there. The aspirations are all wrapped up in that. What if something happens to derail our aspirations? Are we ready to work that through? So one of the things that we have to do then, because sometimes, and we see it right now as we are going through this pandemic, and a lot of issues are coming out of the pandemic, where people are seriously challenged because things have not gone the way that they wanted to go. They're just not able to cope. And one of the things that we have to develop as we go forward is this concept of resilience, this concept of being able to cope with disappointment, cope when things don't go right. What can we do? And that's a area for our development. Remember, we're setting up ourselves to attract the right persons into our lives. What we want to be able to do is to be a resilient partner, be someone who actually, when things don't go the way that we want it to go, can roll up the sleeves, can find ways, can solve problems, and can keep on being logical and focused, even though there's a crisis. That's that's what it is. That's who I would want to have as a partner. That's why many of you would want to have as a partner. You don't want somebody who, just breaks down. And I'm sorry, yes, problems are there, but you want people who can look beyond the storm and somewhere work out a way forward. So that's it. Those are some of the skills that, again, you should be developing, because if you are going to be attracting someone who has those skills, that individual is likely to want to have somebody who thinks alike and who's also resilient. Words of advice. All right. Let me just look at another one. The whole question of how you handle money and deal with money. What is your attitude to money? As you plan your life, as you look forward, as you have your aspirations, what kind of lifestyle do you have in mind? Do you want to have your own home? What kind of home? Where is it? Education, what kind of education? Children, what kind of children? What kind of future do you want to create for the children? What kind of lifestyle do you have in mind? Be clear about that as well. Because what it is then is that when you look at a relationship, you want to have somebody who can buy into that, and also who can help you to get to the place that you want to get. You don't want somebody who's going to be dragging you down. Ideally, you really want somebody who together can get you to where you want to get to. Am I making sense here? I hope so. Then also there are some issues related to how the money is handled. Is it my income is mine, your income is yours, or your income is ours? What about shared accounts, trust issues around money? Get some clarity as to how finances work in your head, so clear, so that when you are having this dialogue or this interaction with whoever it is that prospects, you have some clarity about it. I'm going to pause in a little bit, but let me just look at it. This is where we stopped the last time. The whole question of the demographics now. One of the things that we say here is that different partnerships can work. So I'm not here to prescribe that the older person can get married to a younger person and it works. I'm not saying that you can't have a successful marriage across cultures, across races, across education level. Not saying that at all. All I'm saying that every time there is a significant difference, there's a barrier. Let me just say, let us say that you can get married at 20. So both of you, so that's 40 years of different culture, 40 different years of different experiences that are coming together to live peacefully ever after, harmoniously ever after. 40 years of doing things this way, of hearing, believing these things. 40 years of having an understanding of this is how life is. This is how life ought to go. Habits, all of those things. 40 years coming together. Assuming that you get married as early as 20. Just consider that. That's what we're saying, is that it is not possible, but it could have an impact. Now, if you want to be open-minded, part of the way that you would have to look at it then is be culturally aware. Have an open mind, speak to people of different culture, different races, and see the extent to which you understand them and you feel more comfortable with them. Be more cosmopolitan if you want to look at it that way. That that is a way that you could actually put yourself in a position that if you're attracted to a partner who happens to be of a different age group or of a different gender, I mean, not gender, race, culture, definitely should be of a different gender, make no mistake about that, or education level, then the chances of making it work are significantly higher. All right, that's where we're at. So I just want to stop for a while and ask if there are any questions or any comments so far. If I have said anything that resonates or upsets you, please just come out, share some thoughts, or just tell me what it is that you have heard. Uh, Anybody have, if you have got anything from what I've said? Um, yes, no? Any questions, comments? Oh, something is in the chat. One second, let me just see what's happening. As long as you are both strong believers, it shouldn't matter. Okay, all right. So yes, then that helps. Again, what we're talking about is that grounding of the faith, which really covers over a lot of things. But no, just be mindful that all of these areas of difference require an understanding. Yeah, it's not just automatic. It's not just automatic. So you need to be able to take these things into consideration as you go forward. All right. There's another one. When there are those kinds of stark differences in a relationship, education, income, race, etc., is it reasonable to say that love is enough to make it work? I get myself in trouble, Adriana, in these sessions, in that I believe that love is powerful, etc. But there are things that can test the love, things that can put the love to a test, put it that way, right? I find that people go into relationships and are really well connected, love each other, but for example, money issues come up, and the stresses, when we are stressed out, sometimes we're not as logical, we're not as pleasant, etc. And so those kinds of things on an ongoing basis can in fact cause us to not be as nice to each other and appear not to be the same kind of person that we thought we were wed to. It can make a difference. I make no mistake about it. It can make a difference. All right. So I'm not saying it's not possible. All right. So H. Johnson says, marriage is for life, till death do us pass was a promise. But these days, no one tends to stick to that. Demographics make a difference. Age, old time people, marriage tend to last 50, 60 years. Mine lasted about 19. Sad. Yeah, sorry. Okay. All right. Let's move on. I'm just wanted to. So these are some of the things that we had looked at. To cover some additional ground. I think we did actually just start to talk about this. one of the things that we tend to overlook is the impact of family and friends in the relationship. Whew. The reality is that when we get married to someone, enter into this, contract with somebody to live with them for life, they're not usually leaving behind their families or their friends. Yes. So the reality is that they're coming on board, right? And so due diligence is important. We have to examine how comfortable are we with their friends and with their family, especially their family, because friends you might actually move away, but you can't. Not much you can do. Even if you walk away from your family, you're still a part of the family. So how can the two families come together? How would they come together? And that's why one of the things that we keep talking about is that don't rush into this thing. Take time to know the person. Take time to get to know the family. A lot of information can come from that. If you go to a family dinner, for example, a Christmas dinner, etc., and uncles and the aunts and so on come, tons. That is like a research project right there, in the sense that when you are introduced around, are there couples that have been in long-lasting relationships, or is divorce rampant among your in-laws? Those are questions that I'm not saying again that you can run against the tide, but take notice. Take notice. Those are some of the questions that you have to ask. Also, here's a big test that I find that is useful. Is let us say you go to visit your prospective partner, right? And the individual is not there. Let us say, you go to visit prospective wife. She's not there. Can you go in and sit and have a conversation, with whoever is there, or not? Or do you have to turn back at the gate and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, okay," and leave because you know that you're not comfortable, or they're not comfortable with you? All of that, these things make a difference, because ultimately, as I said, you're not marrying the individual alone, you're marrying their family, you're marrying their sister, the brother, uncle, who will be guiding them, either cheering them on or saying, "Hey, no, this is a no for us." So those are some of the things that we have to look at as we go along. So both sides. So those are the questions that we have to look at. Right? So here's a question here. Okay. Two different households actually come together when two people get married, right? There's no fitting in a box or cut to fit the two are different with different idiosyncrasies, habits, and modus operandi. Yeah, sure, but there need to be possibility for them to work together, for them to be aligned at some point in time. That's what I would call that period of time when you are dating. It's part of how do we get to better understand ourselves, and how do we understand each other's styles? How do we get to a place where we can make it work? Those are some of the things that we have to consider if we're going to have lasting relationship. All right, yes, leave the family. That was a part of my problem. Sorry, I'm not divorced. There's a possibility of getting back, except that she won't let the family go. Yeah, it's not easy for people to let their families go. That's the anchor. And so that's why sometimes people say, love, so strong. But there are also some serious bonds, blood, as they say, thicker than water. All right. So yeah, here you're not married to family, but if you take on what I'm saying to you here, and I'm not saying if you are in the relationship, I'm just saying beforehand, what I'm talking about is preparing people to enter into lasting relationships. That's basically how we get the right person into our lives. And I'm suggesting that it might not just be a person in the sense that one individual, but bear in mind when you're inviting the right person, that person is coming with people, coming with friends, coming with influencers in their lives, coming with um, yeah, blood bonds. Important consideration. All right. Didn't do this last week because I didn't want to come across, as we. So I said I do this commercially, and I didn't want to take the thing, but I think it's so critical. In terms of our behavioral styles, one of the things that we do is, and we have done it actually. So yeah, let us get the commercial thing out of the way. So we do behavioral assessments, and we have done it with couples and I believe, frankly, that this would be one of the gifts before it. You really don't want it, but um, if the decision has really been made, but as a gift, as a wedding gift, a behavioral assessment, which would help the persons, where we compare the two styles together and will help them to understand each other and to meet. That's something that I think is very useful. But let's just talk about the basic principle. So, in essence, we have. You can look at how we cope with life, how we deal with how life unfolds, how we navigate through life. And I think we're not saying that there are four kinds of people. We're saying that there are four approaches to how you navigate, four principles, four toolkits is what I like to use, and four mindsets that go into how we navigate through life. And basically it's like DISC, so we call it discerning communication. So there's dominance, this red zone, influence, with yellow zone, steadiness, this green zone, and conscientiousness, this blue zone. So in essence, what it is that people who tend to be more outgoing and task oriented, that's the direct dominance, driven, want to control things, want to make things happen, decisive, driven, might be dominant, right? Daring, all of those kind of questions that you have to come in here. Here, outgoing, people oriented. This is your influence. Keen to interact with people, want to be creative, want to innovate, want to have new experiences, want to be engaged, want to enjoy life. All of those kinds of things are there. Right? When we come across here where people meets reserve, this is steadiness. Here it is a sort of a more sober look at life, support for others, kindness, calm, assurance, reliable, all of those things come in there. As we go to reserved, task-oriented, this is conscientiousness, a critical look at life, want to make sure that things are structured, are in place, make sure that we do what we say we're going to do, have some accountability around things. That's basically the kind of framework that's there. Right? So again, in the yellow zone, tend to be a lot more open, free talk, share, openness. Here, a lot more cautious, maybe more poker playing. Over here, also more direct, call a spade a spade. Over here, tend to be more politically correct. So that's the kind of framework. And let me be clear, there's no reason why um, the I style can't work with the C style, the yellow, and it can happen, and vice versa. Um, so I'm not here prescribing, but at least we need to know what is the preferred style of the other of the person, and that it will help us then to understand how the communication will go. Yes. So this is highly, I would recommend. So to give us some other things that we could look at in terms of the social interaction. The I style is way and above, in terms of the connection and friends and really want to be engaged with people. Right? The C style is the more reserved in terms of social interaction. So if you look at this axis, I and D tend to be more outgoing, S and C tend to be more reserved. In terms of task orientation, D style and the C style are very heavily focused on things, getting it done, making it happen. Whereas I and S want to have the people side of things, consider the impact on the individuals when we do anything. Let's focus on the people side of things as against the getting it done. Need for information. S and C definitely want clarity, specific information. IND wants just a general sense. Give me an overview, and I'm good with that. In terms of pace at which they want things have done, D and I is now wanted yesterday. S and C, hold on, let's think it through a little bit. Let's see what happens. So you could see then that some of this interaction is not as easy as it sounds unless you have some coaching, unless people get to understand how the other person thinks, how the other person acts. You're going to have issues here in terms of timing, in terms of communication. This, person wants more information. This person wants bullet points. Bottom line, move on. Those are some of the dynamics that you have to face. Can it work? Yes, it can. Does it take work to make it work? Yes, it does. So the more we're looking at preparing is the more we need to understand ourselves. So at some point in time, we should be able to find out what is our preference. Yeah. So usually, an individual has one or two, maybe up to three of the things of preference. So you might have one dominant one and then two others that you use a lot. If you talk about toolkits, we need to know what are our preferred tools. Because normally you go back to your preferred tools when you're under stress or you have that crisis or something is happening. You need to know yourself. Also how you hear others. You need to be able to pick up the signals. If you are dating somebody, meet that person, etc., how do they communicate? See if you can identify where they're coming from, what style are they like, and to see if you can deal with it. Can you deal with someone who wants to make the decisions, wants to be a lot more decisive than you might be? Is that all right with you? Or do you want then to have counsel and have the thing reviewed, bring in family to discuss it? Or no, I can't bother with that. Why we don't just decide? I think that this is what we should do. Let's do it. Can you deal with that dynamic? Those are things that you have to know, because if you're going to be living 40, 50, 60 years under that regime, know what it is. Yes. If you look at this, the blue and the yellow, are you willing to go off on a lark? Are you willing to say, okay, fine, we're gonna go to the country for the weekend, spend the weekend. Have you booked? No, let's just go and then let's see what is happening. And if we go to ocean, it's not so right, we can't move on. No, we need to plan this from 4 months before, and we need to have all of this done. can you deal with those strictures, and can you deal? Those are questions that we have to ask ourselves and to understand what it is that we're getting into. That's all I'm suggesting, is that if you walk blindly into that, and not be aware of the differences in how you think, and be prepared to accept or to modify your behaviors, or to hear the individual differently, yeah, those are challenges that we can have. I want to pause here a little bit because this is so fundamental to a lot of conflict that we have in relationships. You know, we hear from people that come and say, you know, my husband don't want to listen. Maybe sometimes, what is it that we're talking about? Sometimes when you dig a little deeper, it is not that he doesn't want to listen. It is just that he's not accepting what you want him to do. Yeah. So maybe it is you that don't want to listen. But anyways, those are some of the dynamics that you would hear. And so I'm not suggesting that the behavioral style is a language. Yes, the communication, the language that we speak. And if we do not understand how the other person is communicating or what they mean when they communicate, or how their style, the body language, all of those things matter, because you might interpret it differently. And whereas there is no intention to communicate in a particular way, because of your preference, you hear it differently and it causes a problem. Make sure that you understand yourself, where you're coming from, and how people might perceive you, and how people might see how you behave, and not accept it. Any comments on this? This is big stuff in terms of making relationships work. Fundamental. Quiet crew to them, man. Okay. All right. Just looking to see, just giving you a minute, or maybe you're typing something in the chat. But this behavioral assessment and this behavioral understanding of yourself from a behavioral point of view as to where do I fit into this diamond, where do I fit into the 4 quadrants, what is my preferred style, you know. Another approach is to talk about love languages. So what is it? How do you get me to respond best? And what kind of relationship? So I have been looking across here, but this could also be an issue, right? So green, you know, red and blue could also be a challenge, because these are task oriented. This person wants to have it done now. This person wants to think this through some more, get some more data, analyze a little bit more, and more structure. This one wants more freedom to, you know, be themselves, right? Similarly here, this person is a lot more free-spirited. This person is more reliable, more focused, more making things happen in an orderly manner. So it's not just across, there are issues anywhere in the relationship, but it makes sense to get to know the individual and know yourself first. That's the key. Know yourself first, and to be able to identify what's happening with the individual. Going.
Gartner,
Yes.
just to say, lovely presentation so far. One of the things that you know, this presentation, I think I've heard it once or twice before. That has brought to mind is the fact that it's not that I am doing the right thing and you are doing the wrong thing. It's just that we communicate differently, you know. And as much as it sounds like you know, a dart to some persons, it was an eye opener for me, that it does feel like you have always been taught, not maybe not in school or delivered, but that there is an ideal personality, an ideal behavior, ideal, and everybody needs to strive for that. And not necessarily taking away from that, but it doesn't mean that the other person is wrong or the other person is the devil and needs to change and come over to my side. But it's just a different way of communicating, a different way of seeing things, a different way of interpreting things. And the other point, sorry, I know you're talking a little, but the other thing that came across to me as well was that the thing that the same thing can be said by two different persons but mean so totally different things. And also the person hearing it understand different things, and you're trying to figure out how you hear that. I only said this, and the more you repeat it, the more they're getting upset because they're hearing the thing that they're saying that they're hearing. So those two things were key for me.
Thanks, Kirk. I appreciate it. Let me let me share something quickly on that to talk about the two persons. One example I use is the Nike. Just do it. Okay, so it's motivational. Yeah, okay, just do it. For someone, it could be, oh, you mean just do it? What do you mean? You understand what I'm saying to you? You tell me, what do you mean just do it? No, man, I will decide if I want to do it or not. You understand? So it's the same little phrase that is an encouragement. Okay, fine, yeah, if you have this, want to do something, just do it. No, I will decide whether I want to do it or not. You don't just tell me you must just do it. So that is an extreme. But I'm just saying to you that could be the kind of thing that's happening, is that some words, there are some trigger words that you could actually use that cause disruption without even knowing it. So behavioral styles make a difference. All right. Do you think couples overlook and ignore the sign or ignore the signs? I need a little bit more information as to what it is. I think there's ignorance in that people just don't know. They're not exposed to stuff like I'm talking about here. I think also there is a overconfidence because of the love. Initially in that thing, we just believe that we can, love will overcome everything. And so even though we see the signs, we kind of ignore them because, especially I'm going to get myself in trouble here, especially the women who just feel because of their motherly instinct that there's somehow or another that they can get Trevor to be this nice, wonderful husband that he is not. But yeah, because of our caring and our whatever it is. Yeah, so there's some overconfidence. I really believe that people, one, are not equipped, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this session. This is just one of the areas that we're looking at in terms of the behavioral styles. This is one area, but people are not equipped to examine and to make, identify really what it is that will make for a good partner. I think a lot of training needs to be done in that area. Lot, and some more work needs before people come to be wed and just ready to go on. Some more counseling needs to be done there. That's my take on it, Dan. I don't know if that helps.
Hi, can I say something?
Please.
I was at the airport a number of years ago, and I was waiting on the individual to come in, and I sat close to this older gentleman, and he was very open, and he was waiting on his ex-wife to come in. And she was a younger individual, and he said she always wanted to party and he wasn't into that. So they parted ways, and she remarried, and her new husband was similar to her in terms of, wanting to party. And I'm just thinking of that now because it was such a stark difference between the two of them. And, you know, that was just so clear, the differences.
I raised that. I said, you know, that the demographics matter. You know, when you have this big gap, it's all right up to a point, but then when the other person really gets to a stage where, you know, they're not able to do some of the things that you want to do, what happens then? What happens then if you're looking long term? Because you know these with, you know, apart from death and so on, you could be looking 40, 50 years, 60. Yeah, what happens, you know, if you have this big gap in age? So again, I'm not saying it can't work. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying, if we are, and the whole premise of this discourse is, how do you attract the right person into your life? And again, the context is long term. We're looking at marriage, and so that's the idea. How do we prepare ourselves? How do we also vet the individuals who are coming in to make sure that we don't make mistakes? It's not foolproof, but it helps. All right, let me move forward now. All right, so here's another steep hurdle. This whole question of self-differentiation. It's a relatively new concept, so I'm not sure how many of us are fully aware of what this is about. But the definition is the capacity to separate out your thoughts from your feelings, first of all, as well as to separate your thoughts and feelings from the other person's thoughts and feelings. Yeah. So the emotions are there. To what extent are we driven by our emotions? Can we separate out? I suppose if you would look at it, the more logical part of us from what is going on with our feelings. So that's one. But it gets even more complex when we are in a relationship. Yes, we'll talk about some of that in a little while. In that, are the feelings that I'm having mine or my partner's, and whose thoughts are in play? How do I separate them out? Critically, and I said to you, if you don't know yourself, you need to know yourself before you can give yourself. One of the things that we need to do is to understand that while we are connected, we are individuals, we are unique persons. Right? So some of the signs, I'm going to give you a whole list of them afterwards, but just as a first slide here, is that you're unable to think clearly because you're just flooded with emotions. If you ever find yourself in that situation where, man, I can't make head or tail out of what's going on here. I just know that I am even what? I don't even know what I am. I'm just confused. I don't know if anybody ever found themselves in that situation. That's a classic case of lack of self-differentiation, in that it thoughts and emotions, and you're just flooded. You're not clear in thinking. You don't know what next to do. You don't know what to make of it. Also, your opinions and beliefs are tied up with others. It's hard for you to distinguish what's going on with you as against what's going on with your partner. And the ultimate problem with that is that you can't even make up your own mind. You didn't know what you're thinking. Yeah, you have to go and talk to somebody before you realize that, oh, maybe I am sad, I'm happy. I don't know what is the emotion, or what it is, or this is what I need to do. You of your own self can't navigate your way out of where you are. Serious problem. All right, so let's talk about it a little bit more. All right. So as I said, we are separate, unique individuals. And however, I should say, we actually influence one another. Yes, that's the key. As a matter of fact, there was a session that we did where we talk about energy that we give off, and the vibes. Those things, if you study carefully, you realize that it goes well beyond, even beyond your partner. So there's an energy that we give off under certain circumstances that actually have a lot of influence upon others, etc. So what is the ideal situation in terms of differentiation? Is that both of us, both parties should have clarity as to who they are, what they hold to be true, what it is, being able to manage their emotions so they know where they are at any given point in time. But they're still connected. The relationship doesn't suffer when I hold to where I am. So let us say something happens, right? An incident. Maybe we're watching the news. Let us just make it as external attack. So watch the news, and one party gets really upset about the situation there. Does the other party have to say, yeah, man, I feel the same way? Or could the other party feel comfortable saying, I really don't see it that way, because A, B, C, D. Yeah, you can feel comfortable being upset, but personally, I take another view on it. Do they have to sleep separately that night because of that? Those are questions that we have to ask. Are they not talking again for the next whatever it is? Or you could feel the tension in the room because of that. That's where we would say that the couple has not mastered this whole question of self-differentiation, in that there's a sort of almost, well, it's not a group thing, but you're crowded out by the other persons. And some of the things, and we're going to talk about that now, but some of the things that come up then is that in those kinds of relationships, it's almost like you have a duty to monitor the state of mind, the emotions of the other party, and to, if they feel a particular way, you have to feel that kind of way. We spoke about gaslighting, and that's moving towards gaslighting. The difference with this is that it is not that one person is manipulating the other. It is actually seen as deeper love, because we're so close that if your head hurt, your mind hurt, or if you feel upset about this, it's automatic that I'm going to feel the same way about it. Is that healthy? The suggestion is no. The suggestion is no, because we are individuals, unique individuals, and the relationship is a lot healthier when there is room for independent thought. There is room for me to think differently, feel differently, and act differently. Without critically though, without causing some conflict, some contention, some problems. Yeah, critical. Venice, you want to say something, or your mic is open? No? Okay. Okay. So yeah, so that's I want to put this on the table, because this is an area that I would want to spend a little bit more time on, because it's not something that we discuss on an ongoing basis. This is relatively new concepts. So how then do I know if this applies to a relationship? So let us say I'm dating or whatever, or in the relationship already. How do I know if we are sufficiently differentiated? One of the key questions then is, can you be different without losing emotional connection? Can you disagree on a matter? Can you place yourself in a position, especially when your emotions are high, etc.? Can you comfortably hold a different space and still enjoy a healthy connection? Or does somebody have to go in the doghouse? And is it, for weeks? And maybe sometimes for years. You remember when, you threw me under the bus? You remember when, I expected you to stand up with me and you didn't? You actually sounded to me like you sided with the other party. That's a situation that suggests that there is not sufficient self-differentiation. So do you need to be on the same page all the time? Do we need to share the same emotions, same values in order to remain connected? In which case, in some instances, what it means then is that there's a denial of self. It means that you are now saying, okay, I really don't feel like this. I really don't agree that that action is a right action. But for a peaceful life, in order to continue to enjoy my relationship, I have to suck it up and go along with my partner. In which case, who am I eventually? Am I just a clone? Or some of it then, is that because of this love and this, passion, and, we come together and the two of us create two persons who are not really real. We redefine both parties, and none of them can be their authentic self. This is deep stuff. This is deep stuff and scary. Scary. Is that what we need to do in order to have harmony and love in a home? Or is there value in having another perspective? Yeah. That's a question that we have to ask. So I'm definitely expecting some comments on this. This is deep stuff. So let us look at more signals. So yes, it can lead to abuse, but the difference with this time, whereas I said in terms of the gaslighting and so on, it is one person manipulating. Here, it is not actually, it doesn't have to be one person. It could be that they agree, that as a part of this bonding and this love, whatever it is, that we are going to I don't want to sound like it's hypocritical, but create a self that's really not ourselves, but is a self that both of us can live with, and we're happy in that self. All right. Mr. or Miss Johnson, I don't know which one, says this type of mental anguish does not augur well for happiness. Yeah. The part of it that, that is exactly true. The part of it that I want us to be careful about is that in some instances, that's the dangerous part. That's why I'm emphasizing it. The dangerous part is that when they actually willingly and happily going to say, well, okay, fine, I know that John, or I know that Mary is not going to like me to think this kind of way. So yeah, okay, I want Mary to be happy, so I'm going to think that kind of way. Yes, and so I'm so in love with Mary. I'm going to do this, and so I don't feel any mental anguish, necessarily. That's the thinking, but in practice, if we can be our authentic self, how really healthy is the relationship at some point in time when we keep putting off who we really are. And guess what? When just think about it, if we had a large group. So you talk about groupthink. Is groupthink healthy, or do we make progress when we have divergent views, when we can discuss things openly? Are we stronger as a couple when we feel free to examine things openly, have different views, and even be contentious in examining issues? Are we better off than putting ourselves in a situation where we, because of our quote unquote love for each other, we want to avoid every appearance of conflict or of disagreement, you know? So I want to get myself to a place where I can finish my wife's sentence and she can finish mine. And that's a sign of, you know, ooh, powerful bonding. That to me is the bigger danger. That to me is the bigger danger, is when this concept of being one in every sense is seen as healthier than that one that we're, you know. So you go and visit your friends and they seem to have issues. They might, you know, discuss things and say, well, they can't agree. Look at how we are, you know. And you think that they are not happy. But they could be very, very happy because they're comfortable in themselves. And they know that the husband can say so and so, and the wife can say, no, come on, Trevor, that don't make any sense. And it's all right. It's not a problem. Nobody has to be embarrassed about it because that's who we are. Why not? So what are some of the other signals? All or nothing, you know, my way or the highway. This is a dangerous one, which doesn't always manifest. This one is probably a red flag that you pick up from before quickly, and you know, so that is a no-no. But the other thing is, again, the whole feeling of control, that is getting close to the gaslighting. But here we start now with inability to express yourself freely, the fear of causing offense. I don't want to have any conflict. I don't want my partner to think that I'm, you know, I don't understand them, or whatever. All of that is there. If one person feels an emotion, look at this. You can't help feeling it too. So you're there, you come home, happy, bubbly, whatever it is. You come home, your partner is down, sad. You better take off your happy face because this is sad time. This is sad time. And if you do not get into sad mode, how you're so insensitive, you know, yeah, that's it. Okay. So that may take 50 years, like old time marriages. Those marriages are not around anymore. Yeah, there could be. There are some. Thank you for introducing self-differentiation. Thanks. Yeah. Well, part of what we're trying to do here, Johnson, is to see how we can get some more of the 50-year marriages going. All right. So yeah, going along with other parties' action and giving up on your own opinion or preferences. So yeah, it's like a train moving forward, and you just hop on, and it doesn't matter because my partner is the one up front guiding the train, and wherever it is going, I'm going. Does it matter if the direction is not so right? Yeah, but can't really. It's too much trouble to go stop, and it's all right. You know, I trust them. It's good. You know, we can work it out. We go there. Is that all right? I'm not so sure that I want to live in that kind of relationship. All right. Here's a huge biggie. Huge biggie is the feeling then that this connection is there now. The feeling then that when you come home and the person is sad and you were happy, etc., you start to blame yourself. You are responsible. Maybe if you had come home a little earlier, or maybe if you had done something, or I don't know what it is, but it's your fault. You causing this, or you are not able to stop it from happening, and you start to take responsibility for any negative emotions that the person has. Worse, the person actually laid at your feet. You know how long I'm here waiting? You said you were coming home at 4. Now it is 5:45. So that's just why I'm mad, you know. That's why I'm mad. That's why I'm upset. You know, I really don't feel anymore. What do? Do you take responsibility for their emotions? So that's a question. All right. So bear in mind that nobody can make you do anything, right? Make you feel this. You make yourself feel that. You make yourself. So you take the responsibility for your. All right. So difficulty distinguishing their emotions from your own. That's it. Situations happen, and you kind of together, and the mood. As I tell you, there are vibes that go out, you know. So the energy in the room does change. The energy in the room does change. Yeah. Let me tell you. All right, let me give you a quick example of something like this. I remember once with the family and the children, we went out on a glass bottom boat. It was all right initially. And then, I don't know what it is, but we reached a certain point, and without a word, everybody just got concerned. You could just see the vibe, the children, everybody got, you know, while you were looking funny, happy down, looking at the thing below, no, nobody was there. Everybody started to hold on to the boat side, like a bit tighter. Not a word spoken, but there was just a vibe that went out to say, hey, this thing is dangerous, you know? And so that I'm just saying to you that sometimes that happens, but is there room, or could there be room in that scenario for someone to say, hey, come on, you know, we're secure here, you know, we have run our life vest, you know, everything is all right. Let's continue to enjoy. Is that person out of step? Maybe, but I'm just saying to you, sometimes that's not allowed. Sometimes that's not allowed, you know. So the pushback could be, you know, you're careless, or you're this, or you're whatever it is. You know, you can swim, we can't. I don't know. I'm just saying to you that sometimes that is an, you know, an outside example, but there are situations where having another opinion doesn't go down well. And also the point I'm making about the vibes, that just the mood just changes. There's just a cloud that just comes over, and you can't distinguish. So in that scenario, you suddenly now feel overtaken by the very emotion that you don't know where it comes from. It's not part of you. It's not, you weren't there, but you get caught up with the vibe. All right. Boundaries. You can't establish any boundaries or having concern. The concerns, you know, you're in a situation, you believe that certain things are out of bounds. You have concerns that you express, but nobody pay any mind. They continue to do the same thing over and over and over. That's also a situation where you might be losing some of your differentiation, your self-differentiation. You feel as if you're being carried along with this stuff, you know, with the tide, and that's not so healthy. So the bottom line is that how to look at it and what it really means is that you can't be your authentic self in this relationship for whatever reason, whether it is because you fear consequences, fear quarreling, fear nagging, whatever it is. It could be fear, or whether it is that you're out of a deep passion, you feel that you have to give all yourself and to give up on the right to be different and to speak differently, and to have a different view, whatever it is. you can't be your authentic self. Yourself that went into the relationship is not the self that's there now. What am I saying though? Am I saying that you can just be exactly who you are and you don't make any concessions and you don't make a difference? I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that if you make adjustments, etc., you still need to know who you are and why you're doing it. The difficulty we're talking about here is when it is blurred, where you no longer know what it is, what you stand for, what are your values, who are you really in this. Of course, I can make a concession. Of course, I can decide that I'm not going to speak out about this because I want a peaceful life. That's fine. I have made that decision. It's a completely different thing now. Where this is all clouded over. This is all clouded over, and I've lost the voice. I have lost even the capacity to realize that there was a time when I would have spoken out about this, and now I didn't even notice it. And so one of the questions is to ask, what is my stuff? What is my business? What belongs to me and what belongs to my partner? Those are questions that you have to ask. So when a conflict comes up, something comes up, an issue comes up, all right, where am I in this? What is mine and what is theirs? I'm angry because you come home late. Okay. Am I going to take responsibility for her anger or his anger or not? Is that mine? I'm not so sure that that is mine. So you can hold on to that. That's yours, not mine. Yeah. So those are some of the things that we have to look at. What is it that is yours and what is that is theirs? And if you keep asking that, you might find yourself getting into a more a better position in terms of unique individuals who are self-differentiated but are very closely connected. All right. So Diane is saying you shouldn't have to change your whole personality to accommodate another person. I agree, 100%. Okay. All right. Let's move the clock forward. All right. Separate concept here. One of them is as again we prepare ourselves. Remember the goal. The goal here is to discuss how do we invite the right person into our lives. And the question is a preparation really for us to be able to get ourselves ready for people to look at us to say, well, yeah, this is the ideal person for me as well. And so we can live happily ever after. That's the goal. One of the questions then is differences of opinion. And how do you deal with differences of opinion? How do you deal with disagreements? I would suggest, and again, bearing this in mind, that some of this must go back from your parenting, from the children, so that the children can understand what it is when they are, they want something and somebody else has a different view. How do they deal with that? Groom them, help them, because anyhow they grow up to be always right, they're going to have problems with their relationships. So, how we deal with these things? Be sure that you are right. That's one option. Come on. I'm dead sure, 100% right. And I believe you me, I have a good track record, so that's me. Anytime the things come up, I am right. I am right. So that's one approach. The other one is, okay, so you not think that I'm right? Well, all right, let us discuss it now. Let us compete. Let us argue. Let us find. Because at the end of the day, then it's a debate, and I think that I'm going to win the debate to see. Because my objective is to prove that I'm right. So those are two that are not exactly healthy, as you could see. All right. Here is the key now, and this is something that doesn't exist in a lot of relationships, is to join the forces, is to see that the enemy is not you and not me. We're not fighting each other. This is the problem over here. Let us come together as a team and deal with that. Believe me, if we could ever get to this is this is where we really need to go in our lives, is to get to a place where we can say, here's an issue out there. Let us stop fight among ourselves about it's not, we are not the problem. See the problem there? So let us look at an example. Someone feels hurt. The traditional approach, which is that, is you did this to me. You caused this. You are the one. And the other one said, me? No, no, not my fault. No, but I put it on me. Not my problem. And we have the discussion now. That's the next one. Heated discussion. Yes, but if you're about to, right? And the whole objective is that at the end of the day, I'm going to show that you did it to me. And at the end of the day, I'm going to show you that it's not my fault. Lot of energy, lot of problem, shouting. What if we could get to a place where we are saying, okay, the issue that we have here is that someone is feeling hurt. You are feeling hurt. Okay, that's the issue. What if we collaborated as a team to see how we can resolve this issue of the fact that you're feeling hurt? We're a team. Let us as a team, and by the way, this we are a team thing is something that really and truly, if you use it a lot, it's gonna reduce the competition that you have between spouses. We're a team. Let us stop compete. Let us work together. Let us collaborate to find the problem. So let us together then examine why you're feeling hurt. Yeah. Let us look at the antecedents. What happened before it? Why that? Let us together work it out and to see then how we can address the issue. Right? So we're not blaming each other now. We're not getting into any fault finding. We're just trying to see what led up, how that could be avoided, what we can do now that it has happened. That's it. As a team. And when we don't solve the problem, we can say, yes, team, woo, we solved that as well. Bring on another problem. That's a difference in approach. Let me speed up here quickly. So the other thing to look at is the whole question of forgiveness, because this is the ultimate now in terms of if you have a hard time forgiving, you're going to have a hard time in relationships. Absolutely. No relationship can survive in the long haul unless people are willing to forgive. I'm telling you, it's a reality, because people are going to make mistakes. Or maybe not, don't want to call it a mistake. People are going to do things deliberately then that you don't like, right? That you might feel that you need to forgive. All I'm saying to you is that if you have a difficulty with forgiveness, you're going to have a problem. So prepare yourself. Learn to forgive. Understand when you need, hoping that you're a prayer that you pray. How many times have you asked God for forgiveness for the same thing or for many things? So why not manifest that in your own life? That's the question. But believe me, if you're not good at forgiving, you're going to have a problem in relationships. That is a requirement. All right. Moving forward, trying to finish on time. Might beg you. It looks as if I'm going to beg you a 5 or 10 minutes. If that's all right with you. If not, I'm sorry. I apologize. But I think I would like to deal with a couple of these issues a little bit deeper. All right. So even the forgiveness one that I've spread over here, one of the questions that you have to ask yourself: are there some line in the sand issues that no, if this happens, I can't forgive. I can't forgive. Those are some of the things that you have to work on. I think the scriptures will help you significantly in that as to what it is that you can or you can't forgive. All right. Then the long-term interest, shared interest. Believe me. Again, you see the Coca-Cola and the 6-pack. That's great. I don't have a problem with that. Matter of fact, that is the last slide. I probably won't get there. But the key is shared interest, spending time together. what is it that you can talk about? One of the things I would talk in the other part of the work that we're doing this year in terms of saying when you're selecting, one big test is go apart, not where you can touch or see or anything like that. Right? Just go to the end of your telephone call, go get you to that whatever cell phones, mobile phones, and talk and see, if you can run your credit out. Or whether you're in a situation is like, so everything all right then? Yeah, but you're okay. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, if that's the case, run. No, you need to be able to connect. You need to find things that you can talk about, things that are of mutual interest. And so that's something that I'm suggesting. And I'm going back to the parents now. Please, parents, broaden the children's exposure and interest. It's not just a school book. Yes, they can pass the paper, they can pass with CXC, whatever. But they need to be interested in things. Open them up to sports, to this, give them some variety in life so that they can be interesting and they can also be interested in things. Right? So, all right. So one of the things, again, probably in your dating, this is good stuff, is board games. Again, believe me, I'm a firm believer in a good, solid dating period where you get to know the person. So go and visit the prospective spouse, play a game of Scrabble with the family, ideally. You get to learn something about them and so on. How they take on losing, how they share what it is. Those are some of the things. And we play some board games. I hear somebody tell when we talk about Monopoly that part of the fun in Monopoly is stealing the money and whatever. I'm not so good with that. But I think integrity and how you play and how sports and games are important in telling you about a person's character. Yeah. How do they take losing? How honest are they? How what's the connection? And also it's great fun. Yeah. So I'm suggesting that you spend time playing some board games, sports, get involved, man. The children and you start to watch some netball, some cricket, some whatever. Just get involved, because by the way, this is entertainment. A lot of sports taking over. In terms of major entertainment. So get there, understand some little bit about basketball, whatever. Yeah, and gentlemen, what's some netball? Do all I'm saying to you is widen the perspective, so that if someone has an interest in some area, it's not a struggle for you to go, oh no, you mean I must go sit down at Sabina Park and watch cricket for a whole day? No, I can't manage that. Yeah, get to a place where at least you have some interest, you have some understanding of what's going on. Huh? This man want to watch American football. What does it really mean? What is this? How they score? How they do? Please, I know maybe you're not everybody into sports, but find some variety, because that's going to be your reality going forward. All right. Needle points, crochet, do something, or be like this gentleman here, who is a chef. Not at all. You say a picture tells us a million words, right? Well, this is a total lie. Yeah, or do some gardening. Do some gardening. All I'm saying to you, what am I saying? Have a breadth of exposure, of interest. Widen it so that you can communicate, and that has to do with your reading, to do what you're know what's going on in the world, know what's happening in a particular place. So if somebody wants to talk some politics or some development going on, no things. All right. And then last but not least, can I leave it right at the last thing is that yes, we can't deny that the physical is an important part of the relationship. Physical attraction, the chemistry, all of that is important. And so you might have a view as to what is this. People have different preferences as to what it is that they see as attractive in the opposite gender. So what is it that you find attractive? And the question, what are you doing to keep yourself attractive as well, so that you can attract. Bear in mind, again, the whole idea is that if you want to attract something, then you should be a desirable whatever. You should be desirable as well, so that that person who you are trying to attract will find you attractive. Yeah, so those are some of the thoughts that we want to share. Questions, comments. I'm going to leave the table mic open for what is the takeaway? What have you heard? What is it that is of value that we might have shared? Not going to say anything. I'm going to just keep quiet and wait for you. Love to hear if you got any value from this, what it is, or more important, what's a takeaway? Is there one thing that you got from this that you would like to share? Go ahead, Carmen.
I'm asking if, or my thoughts are, most of these things that you have pointed out, it doesn't have to be for a husband and wife. It could also be parent and child or
Absolutely.
family.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see a lot in there. I see a lot in there with, I'm not married now, so I'm single, but my children, we have some of these issues that we just can't communicate well with each other, and it's always my fault, and I'm saying it's you and they're saying it's me, and blah blah blah. So I see a lot in here that we have to work on, and we're trying, but it seems like we're going backwards more than forward.
It's going to be up on YouTube, is in the cloud. It might be an idea for you to just have them go through with you. Watch it. As you said, it's really about relationships. Actually, it's about more effective communication. But because of the context, I wanted to put it in a relationship, both because people don't normally talk about that a lot. So yeah, it definitely goes beyond just a romantic relationship. So thanks for that, Carmen. I like desirable. I feel like desirable is very subjective. I mean, taking care of yourself, right? My last slide here. What are desirable features? Yeah, what is it that you like? I'm just saying, some of us look at it. Some people might look at it and say, okay, fine. I want a tall person. I want a short person. I want a person that's slim. I want a person that's this. Whatever. I don't know. That's for you when you're looking out. But I'm just saying to you, though, you might have some vision as to what it is that you want in an individual, but at the same time, you need to take responsibility for yourself. You carry yourself right. Whether exercise, do whatever. In other words, present yourself in a way that you think is authentic. You think represents you. That's basically what I wanted to say here. Because that's what it is, that this is you and this is how you want to present yourself. Package it right in your own eyes. I'm not saying to be fake and do any kind of surgery or just be conscious. Be conscious that the physical aspects of human relations matter. People actually pay attention to physical features and make decisions on the basis of that. So we are advised to present our best selves, package ourselves in a way. That's why the cosmetic industry is so make so much money. Love yourself first, Diane says, accept yourself first. Absolutely. Yeah. So I don't want to communicate that sound as if I'm seeking to any special size or any special dimension. I'm not going down that road at all. I'm just saying be aware of that physical features, physical state matter. And so just be comfortable in yourself, package yourself in that way. All right, any other comments or takeaway? Is there anything that resonates with you? That's basically what I'm saying. We can go on for another 2 minutes. That you would say, okay, fine, yeah, this might be relevant or not. That's it then. Or is somebody typing in the chat? I'll wait. All right. For me, what is the takeaway? And biggest takeaway is that relationships require work, require preparation. You know, if you build a house, you could show all sorts of preparation. You have to get, you know, drawings passed, you have to set lay foundation, you have to do all of that. And then you just throw together two people to go in there and live. I think they also need to lay foundation, get drawings passed, get, you know, I'm just saying to you, yeah, it requires more work than I think people understand. And it's not just a physical attraction, it requires preparation. And some of that preparation, Carmen mentioned the point about families. Some of that preparation is at the heart of parents. That maybe we should do a parenting session where we talk about how is it that parents can prepare people, children, to invite the right persons. Right now it is structured almost like it is for the adults, but there's a parenting responsibility to prepare their children such that they invite the right kinds of partners into their lives. That is important. Right? So, okay, I see some chats going on here now. Let me try and see if I can catch up with it. Some people go to the extreme to make themselves attractive by having cosmetic surgery, etc., and they do not accept themselves. Right, I agree with that, Jasmine, and I'm not suggesting that here at all. Okay, all right. All right, so there's a question about the sessions. The sessions right now are being stored up right now because we're doing live stream. So it's on YouTube, Simply Christian JA on YouTube. So you should be able to get all of the sessions, not only this one. I'm going to ask, I think I see Rowan now, if you could just type in the chat that link. All right. Thank you, Fan. Yeah, so that you can actually get it. This is actually part 2. So the other one was done on the 21st of November, I think it was. Right. So let's do this. All right. We tend to be disciplined, so we don't want to go too far over. So I just want to thank you. And it's Simply Christian. YouTube is Simply Christian JA. On YouTube, or you can go to St. Andrew Church of Christ. Write it all out, St. Andrew Church of Christ.org, and you will be able to get all of these. All right. So, thank you, Venice. Nice to see you. Glad that you got off today, and take care. Let's have some happy relationships, not only marriage, but you know, in the family going forward. We need to reduce this whole question of the domestic violence and so on. Here we go. Simply Christian JA. Here we go. That's it. And it's on YouTube and Facebook, so you can get it down. I want to thank you for your time, and Rowan, you have the go session. I think I have it. As I mentioned, this is outreach of the St. Andrew Church of Christ, and just want to invite you to, oops. Right, this is what I wanted to share quickly, so that we, at the same link, we have a worship service at 9 o'clock tomorrow, same Zoom link, and the service goes from 9 to 10:30. Then we have Bible class at 11:15, and then we have a midnight Bible class on Tuesday. And of course, we meet at 77 Reddings Road. We have more space now, and I don't know how to come, but you can join us online using the very same Zoom link tomorrow at 9, and Bible class at 11:15, and midweek Bible class on Tuesday. And the next session of this Love Life, it's going to be in January. It's the first first Saturday in January. We meet on the first and the third Saturdays each month, but we are going to have our grief counseling. We actually do have a grief counseling session on the 18th at the same Zoom link at 6:30, where we're working with individuals who are grieving for whatever reason right now, although most of it now is for loss of an individual. So please, on the 18th at 6:30, same time, we want to have a grief counseling session where we're trying to help people to work through their losses, whether it is of an individual or some other hurt that they are going through. All right. Okay. So thanks again, and looking forward to seeing you. Dan, take care. Please say hello to Joanne for us. I can't call out everybody. Sari, how are you?